Welcome. Today we will have a look at Phuket Word and a video where he thinks that a photo of some windmills on the coast outside Belgium proves the flat earth. Okay, let's start. But first of all, I want to thank my members, patrons, donors, and all of you who subscribe to the channel. Thank you, you're helping me making this channel. Before I want to answer a question I received on Discord some days ago, and it was why do you produce so much videos? At the moment I'm working on other project that I will release later this winter, and it's a new channel, one more channel, and that one will be about Cold War and facilities that are abandoned. I have made some documentation of this kind of facilities in Sweden for the government and some museums, so I will make a channel dedicated to that subject, and I will visit these kind of facilities both in Norway and Sweden in the beginning. And when I make that series of videos, I need to have a light portable studio, so that's why I'm sitting in the garden making these videos and not inside as other YouTubers. Okay, that was all about that. Now it's time for Phuket Word.
Hello, Flat Earth researchers, debaters and debunkers. This photograph of a wind farm that is cut off at the horizon was posted in Twitter under the hashtag #FlatEarth, so it came up in my feed, and it came with the question from this Globe Earth defender: how can flat earthers look at this observation and still keep on pretending that there is no curvature? So even though this has been demonstrated to be a normal phenomenon across a level surface outdoors several times over several years, the fact that this person is pretending they have evidence of curvature.
Wrong. How can you explain this? You think this proves a flat earth? That's hilarious.
Means that we have to explain and demonstrate and show how this person is wrong in their assumption. So we're going to do 3 or 4 things here. First, we're going to compare the globe earth mathematics with the observation that we are seeing and see whether it fits with the model. And then we have to talk about the distinct difference between the ways of calculating or measuring any assumed curvature on the surface of the Earth. There are 2 different ways of doing it, and one of course is based on the observer's height above the surface and the distance that they would see to the horizon. And I'm going to show that that is quite an acceptable formula that does fit with what we see in reality when we look across a level surface. The horizon is not curvature, it is just something that we observe coming closer to us when we get closer to the surface and further away from us when we get higher above the level surface.
So Phuket agrees that a curve calculator can calculate the distance to the horizons quite accurate. But why do you have this horizon? I never heard an explanation how you can have it on your flat earth. This is hysterical. And one more thing, you're talking about level. Level don't means flat. Sea level don't mean that it's not curved.
The other way of measuring or calculating curvature is the actual amount of curvature that we would expect to see or measure across a horizontal cross-section of a curved Earth, rather than relying on the observer's subjective perspective based on their height above the surface. And so we'll have a look at some other examples of how we can see what we see here happening across a level surface outdoors. And then finally, we'll have a look at aspects of perspective and what does in fact happen in our eyes when we look across the surface and we gain height and see that what we're seeing here is contrary to what we actually see when we look across the surface in its entirety, or the entire windmill farm. We'll see a definite change in perspective, which tells us that we are not looking at a curvature or evidence of curvature in front of us.
So now Phuket tries to explain this with some mumbo jumbo about perspective and how eyes works. Then I have a simple question to you, Phuket. How come that the radar normally have the horizon about 6% further away than the horizon you see? Why do a radar have a horizon? That's proven beyond every doubt. And the same goes for radios with shorter wavelength. They also have a horizon. Do they also have eyes? Oh dear.
So let's first look at some details about this wind farm so we get an idea of what we're talking about here. So this is the picture that was cropped and used in the Twitter feed, and it's of the offshore wind park at Thornton Bank, and this is off the coast of Belgium. Now, the person who posted this particular photograph has said that they believe it perfectly shows the Earth curvature. Again, they're just assuming that this drop, or this apparent drop, or this cutoff is evidence of curvature, rather than actually seeing any curvature on a globe that is supposed to be curving in all directions. So there's that. So we know where this wind farm is, and we can see some more details about it here. It's Thornton Offshore Wind Farm, and it's about 30 kilometers off the coast of West Flanders, Belgium, between Ostend and Zeebrugge. So we can see a little dot here representing where the wind farm is off the coast of Belgium. A couple of other details we can pick out from here that might be relevant are that the turbines have a rotor diameter of 126 meters, and the gondolas with the generators on the top are 94 meters above sea level. So we can just round that off to 100 to make things easier, but that gives us an idea of the dimensions and the distance that we're looking at. Okay, 30 kilometers away, and these things are about 100 meters in height. Now, another piece of information that we can get from this is that these windmills are spaced at about a distance of 500 meters between each of them. Okay, that says it here. So we can look at this photograph and we can know that with these 5 spaces here, we're looking across at least 2.5 kilometers. And we don't see any change there, but we do see a change in the apparent height because they're getting further and further away. And this particular angle is one that gives us not a straight-on view. If we were looking straight on and these were going across the photograph, then they would all appear to be the same height. So we've got this slight angle away from a horizontal perspective that gives us this gradual apparent decrease in the height as we get over distance. That is one of those aspects of perspective.
I will continue this debunk by the computer so I can show some example of why he's so wrong. Okay, let's get over to me in my office. Okay, it's 2,500 meters between windmill number 1 and number 6. But number 6 is not 2,500 meters further away from the observer than number 1. You have to take into account the angle you're looking at it from.
So let's take that information and put it into some Earth curvature calculators. There are a couple on this website, smokescreendesign.com. In fact, it's the only one I found where you have the option to do the calculations as people normally do them, based on the observer's height above the surface and the distance that they would see to the horizon, which is with this calculator here. And then we have another calculator that is a straightforward calculation of how much curvature we should see across the globe Earth of its specific dimensions at any given distance across the surface. So let's go back up to this one first, where we can see the distance that we determine to the horizon based on the observer's height. So you can put the height in feet or meters, and the result will be miles or kilometers to the horizon. So if we just put, for example, 2 meters, we get a distance to the horizon of 3.14 miles, or just over 5 kilometers. And so if we consider what we're looking at here with these windmills, we can put in a height of 10 meters, if you like, and we have a horizon that's 7 miles away, or 11.29 kilometers away, bearing in mind that what we are looking at is a wind farm. If this picture is taken on the shore, a wind farm that is about 30 kilometers away. All right, so what we have here is a horizon that should appear much sooner than the 30 kilometers. Now, for me, this does actually fit with reality. The height above a level surface does make a difference to where we see the horizon appear.
You haven't looked at Walter Bisley's advanced curve calculator. It's much better than those you are using, because one very important thing you don't take in account here, and it's refraction. Typical flat earthers.
We can see the distance to the horizon changing across a level surface in this footage. We're looking along a road that is level because it's on top of a dam, and it's about 600 or 700 meters long. And you can see that as we bring the camera down, the horizon across this level surface comes closer to us. And then when we bring the camera back up again, the horizon on the surface increases in distance away from us. So we can see that this actually does happen across a level surface. So why is that happening? And is it fair to say that this surface is flat or level? Well, of course, it's rugged. It's not going to be completely smooth. Only artificial surfaces are smooth for any great distance. When we look across the water or along the surface of the Earth's terrain, it is rugged. There are going to be dips and bumps in it, and of course with water there are waves, and this creates distortion, and the waves in front are large or appear larger than the waves behind. So eventually you get to this point where you cannot see the surface beyond those waves or ripples or rises and dilations in front of you. The same is happening here. So those dips or whatever you have on the surface will create a point where there is a horizon, because the light that we are seeing reflected from everything that we see in front of us is being distorted, it's being diffracted or refracted, however you want to describe it. We basically have a limit to which to the distance that we can see across a surface that's in front of us, depending on how high we are above it. And you can see here that the street lamps, we know they're on a level road, but they also appear to drop down because of perspective, and we can't see the bottoms of these lampposts in the distance anymore. Not because there is any curvature between us and those distant lampposts. It's just that the optical horizon in front of us is the point at which everything else beyond it becomes distorted at that eye level. So you'll find that the horizon here that we see is actually a little bit below eye level. Eye level is where we see everything appearing to converge. We see mirroring and convergence in the distance there. So that shows us that this is what we see across a level surface in nature. It's not because of any curvature, and it also illustrates that it's quite silly to assume that the curvature of the Earth, which is supposed to be fixed, will change according to our subjective view, whether we are high or low above the surface. It doesn't change. It shouldn't change. So the very fact that the horizon does change when we gain height above the surface tells us that it's not curvature of any fixed ratio. It is simply the way our eyes work.
Phuket gives no sensible explanation of why you see the horizon. He acknowledged that the curve calculator gives a value that corresponds with what you see, but he tried his mumbo-jumbo about perspective and our eyes. Okay, I come back to the fact that ordinary radar have the horizon roughly 6% further away than the one you see. But once again, why do a radar have a horizon? Do it have eyes that fools it too? If you place the radar higher up, it sees further. So you're moving the distance to the horizon if you place the antenna higher up. Can you explain that, Phuket? Because you haven't proven anything in this video. Of course, one thing you have proven, and that's you don't understand the topic you're discussing. Okay, I'm tired of this fool, so let's move on. Okay, I hope you liked this video. If you did, subscribe, hit the notification bell, become a member, Patreon, or return next time I release a video. All of those helps. Okay, see you soon, bye. But first of all, I want to thank all my members, patrons and donors, and all of you that follows my channel. You all help me in making this channel.